This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
One of the first recycled plastic videos that we ever made on the channel were these turned pens.
Since then, we've had a load of questions come in from wood turners asking us how well HDPE actually turns and if we could supply them with turning blanks.
Now, we do actually have plans to make HDPE pens and pen blanks available very soon on our website. But until that's ready, we thought we'd see if we can take this idea a little further and see if we can make something a bit bigger.
So our plan is to make a plate completely out of recycled plastic. For this, we're mainly going to go with a combination of green and silver, with a few translucent milk bottles thrown in there as well.
To make this blank thick enough for turning on the lathe, it's going to need to be at least 30mm thick. And we've done the maths, and it means we're going to need around 3 kilos of plastic to get that thickness out of our square mould.
We're using our DIY method here, melting some of the plastic in our toaster oven and the rest of it in our sandwich press. If you're interested in some of the gear that we're using in our videos, we have an Amazon link down below for you to check out, and it means you'll be supporting us at the same time. Double win!
Regular viewers may notice our old workshop setup here, and that's because we actually started this video before we moved into our new space.
Once all the plastic was nice and hot, we twisted those colours together and then clamped it using 2 tons of pressure in our bottle jack press.
Now, we always say it's best to leave the plastic overnight to fully cool, and that way it doesn't warp when you take it out of the mould. But just to be sure, we left it for 6 months. But overnight probably would have been fine.
We needed to make sure that our blank was really nice and flat so that it was ready for turning, so we ran it through our Triton thicknesser a few times until it was smooth on both sides.
Next, we needed to cut our square blank into a round, and this is when we noticed that the plastic had a crack running through part of it. Now, this is one of the thickest blanks that we've ever made, so it possibly could have just been that, but we also weren't quite as on it with coming back and adding more pressure as the plastic was cooling, which possibly meant it had time to move and crack.
Luckily, the crack didn't get in the way too much, and we still managed to mark out a 20cm blank by working around it.
So once the blank was cut, it was time to get it on the lathe. Now, we do have a small lathe ourselves, but it's not quite big enough for this project. But luckily for us, one of our good friends and patrons, Mr. Jamie Page, offered to turn it for us live at Maker Central when we were there in May.
Once we managed to track him down, he began to work his magic straight away and mounted it on the lathe. If you want to see more of Jamie and his wood turning, we'll pop a link to his YouTube channel in the description.
Jamie used a faceplate initially to shape what will be the underside of the plate, as well as to add a small tenon, which is a recess that allows the chuck to grip onto the plate to do the next step.
He then flipped over the plate by grabbing that tenon in the chuck and then started working on the top of the plate.
The main thing that Jamie said when he was working with the HDPE was that it was really easy to turn and it required absolutely no sanding as the finish coming off the tools was so good.
The fact that the plastic came off in such long continuous ribbons meant that the cleanup was super easy, as well as being able to separate it and reuse it again.
Big thank you to Jamie for spending all that time turning the plate for us. But before we show you how good this plate looks, we want to take a second to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community designed to help inspire you to explore new and existing passions.
We've been using Skillshare for over a year now, and it's easily become our go-to platform for improving our skills in a whole range of areas.
We've used it to help us with video editing, Photoshop skills, how to be more confident on camera, as well as things like gardening and DIY projects.
The classes are broken down into easily digestible segments, which we find really helpful as it means that you can learn at your own pace and go back through parts whenever you need to.
Our current obsession is a class called Product Photography Basics by Christina Turner, and this has helped us take better photos of the recycled plastic products that we sell.
We've learnt a lot on how to properly frame and light our photos, and so far we're super happy with the results.
The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare.
A big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now let's go and see how that plate turned out. Well, there's our recycled plastic plate, and we are loving that super clean shape that Jamie gave it. We're also amazed at how nice that finishes, considering it didn't have any polishing or sanding.
Now, once the turning was finished, it did reveal a few spots of some slight discoloration. Now, interestingly, this only happened on the areas where we used the translucent milk bottles.
And this is actually the main reason that we don't collect and use milk bottles in our product range. We always find that they discolour much easier than any other source of plastic that we use.
Now, whilst we probably won't be using this plate to eat our dinner off, it's a great size for a catch-all for your wallet and keys, or around the workshop so that you don't lose those pesky screws.
But what we mainly use this for is on our market stand where customers can have little spinning top battles. Fun! Thanks for watching the video, and another massive thank you to Jamie for doing such a wicked job on turning that plate.
If you have any other ideas on what else we could turn from recycled plastic blanks, then let us know because we're definitely up for giving it a go.
And a big thank you goes to the Brotherhood over on Patreon. If you want to join this absolute bunch of legends, then we'll pop a link in the description below.
Cheers guys!
See you later!